Thank you for joining us for this service of remembrance today. This has been a very difficult year, especially for those who have lost a dear loved one. In normal times, we have the support of family and friends. There are services, there are remembrances. People stop by, bring food, give hugs. This year has been different. We have had to find creative ways in order to stay connected and to support one another. Since we've never done this service live streamed before, we've decided to partner with a house of worship. And they do this every single Sunday, and they do it well, so we thought that made the most sense. We're here in the beautiful sanctuary of Christ Presbyterian Church in Carlsbad, and we want to thank them for their support. We also want to say that while this service draws from a variety of faith traditions, this service is intentionally non-sectarian. Our leaders come from a variety of faith backgrounds, and so all faiths and all spiritual paths are welcomed here today. If you received the email, and I hope that you did, there were two attachments. One of them was a service bulletin like this. And if you have it handy, I hope you will follow along with us. There are several places for you to participate. There's a prayer, there's a beautiful litany from the Gates of Prayer on the back. And wherever you are with family or even by yourself, we hope that you will join us in reciting these and joining in these as well. Also attached was this Bill of Rights. This is a holiday Bill of Rights. We position this service right between Thanksgiving and the Hanukkah Christmas season. And we do that intentionally because the holidays are an especially tender time for those who have lost a loved one. And this is one of my favorite handouts, helps. We use these in our bereavement groups, and it gives some guidance on how to negotiate the holiday season in the best possible way and take care of yourself and your healing. Also, this service today will be recorded, and we'll be able to provide you with the link for this recording a little bit later this afternoon, so that you will be able to watch it again, or if there's someone who is in a different time zone or didn't quite get to log in, they will still have a second chance. With that in mind, let us begin. Let us begin with prayer. Let us pray. We give back to you, O God, those whom you gave to us. You did not lose them when you gave them to us, and we do not lose them by their return to you. We have been taught that life is eternal and love cannot die. So death is only a horizon, and a horizon is only the limit of our sight. Open our eyes to see more clearly, draw us closer to you, that we may know we are nearer to our loved ones who are with you. Amen.
Thank you for joining us today. I want to start off by thanking all of you for being here and mentioning the gratitude in our hearts from all of our staff who had the honor of walking with you. I'm aware today, and I want to give thanks to Jim for giving us a safe space to be able to take off our masks and actually see you. For some of my patients today, I realized this might be the first time the family has seen my face if we served you during this pandemic time. So it is with great honor that I connect with you face to face to celebrate our loved ones today. And again, thank you from all of our staff who are at a distance joining us through heart in remembering your loved ones who left a footprint on their hearts. As Jim mentioned, the holidays can be a particularly challenging time, especially when we cannot gather in person with those we love. And so I have enjoyed this time with people talking about creative ways that we can connect with the angels that are on the other side. And I'd like to share a few of those with you today as you're trying to think about, how do I remain connected to my loved one who is beyond my line of sight now, and all of my loved ones who are still here. And so here are a few ideas that I'm borrowing from our patients and families who shared with me. One of my current patients shared with me that she has a roasting pan given to her by her mother, who was owned by her grandmother and her great-grandmother. It has multiple dents and a little burn mark here and there from many, many meals cooked with love. And so while she is in isolation at this moment, she is remembering loved ones who've passed during this pandemic and connecting to people by making a meal in her roasting pan. I'd ask you to pause right now and think, do I have a pan or a borrowed casserole dish or that Tupperware container you forgot to return to someone in a past meal? And can I pull it out and remain connected to them, or perhaps deliver a meal to them remotely, leave it outside like DoorDash and dash away? Grandma's apron. Some of you may have seen the poem Grandma's Apron, but for me this is a very special one. My great-grandmother was my most cherished person in my life, perhaps the reason I do this work. And a few years ago, we were also unable to go and visit family for a myriad of reasons. My son has an immune-compromised disease that isolated us. So I definitely resonate with all of you. So we took Grandma's apron, we wrote a poem, and we put the kids' handprints on these aprons along with the poem, and we mailed. She had a drawer full of aprons. We mailed them out to everyone so that we could cook. So if you have an apron lying around, grandmas were notorious for using them for cooking, taking things out of the oven, but also hiding small children that were feeling shy, or dusting quickly as company arrived unexpectedly. And when you wear those aprons, may you remember all the love that went into that apron. Ornaments. Many of us have been trying to decorate. Sometimes it's hard to find the energy to pull out the decorations. This year, we pulled out a decoration from my great-grandmother, hand-blown glass. There's only a few left, and they're at the top of the tree. But in doing so, she is with us in that moment. My grandfather passed last year. He asked me to go to the Del Mar racetrack and have a drink on him, and I also bought an ornament because it was around this time, and so we hung that ornament. We bought a house last year. We hung that ornament, new home. So with each decoration, with each ornament, may you be intentional with the legacy that's been passed, the heritage, the culture, the memories, and most importantly, the love. The tablecloth. One of my former supervisors shared the most beautiful story with me. She lost her mom right around this time, and it became her job to become the host. Perhaps some of you are resonating with that. This legacy that comes right after the loss, you're now also responsible for being in charge of the holidays. And it's hard. It's hard to find the energy. And so she told me this beautiful story about the tablecloth. In her haste to try to make everything perfect and just the way her mom had done everything, pulling out the boxes, and she puts out this tablecloth, and at first she starts to cry. It's covered in stains. Wine, cranberry sauce, all kinds of the things we can't get out, right? And at first she's distraught because there's no other tablecloth to be found anywhere. She has no time, and she's thinking, I need a new tablecloth. And then it occurred to her that each of these spills was a memory and a moment. And so instead, she sat down in her moment of haste, wrote one of the most beautiful poems I've ever seen, and sadly I don't have a copy today, about her tablecloth, which was helpful to her but also created a new tradition, and now they use that tablecloth, as stained as it is, and adding more stains every year. So perhaps let's pause. Maybe you have a stained tablecloth in your house that brings up a memory, and you can add that. New traditions. I, for one, do not feel like cooking. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm not feeling up to it this year. And so my husband's family, every year they watch Christmas Story. So I called our favorite Chinese restaurant the other day, and I asked, "Are you serving on Christmas?" And they said yes. And I said, "Fantastic, you're making our Christmas dinner." And we're going to reenact that moment from the movie and make a new tradition. So I'm hoping that some of these things will begin to give you ideas. Recently, I had the honor of celebrating a beautiful life, very well lived and full of love, of one of our patients. And when I arrived, I was deeply moved because there was a quilt. It was outdoors. There was quilts set out the patient had made, and everyone was able to sit separately on a quilt. And they got to take that quilt home with their family group. So if you have a loved one who made a quilt, and you can part with them to family, I say get the quilt out and have a picnic or wrap yourself in it. Another family, another patient had sweaters. He was famous for his sweaters. So when we gathered remotely on Zoom, everybody had gotten a sweater. So if you are missing your loved one, find a blanket or a sweater that was meaningful to them, and literally wrap yourself in their love and that memory. And finally, recently, I learned about Grandpa's chair. For any of you who are in the military, you may know that sometimes at sacred meals or remembrance meals or important meals in the military, they will leave a chair for the soldier who is not there. And I first want to pause right now and honor all the soldiers who have passed this last year. We thank them for their service and their sacrifice. This week, I learned about Grandpa's chair. So one of my patients, her husband passed many years ago, 19 in fact, I think. But at every meal, Grandpa has a chair at the table. And in that way, the family remembers him and his presence at every sacred meal. So if you are missing your loved ones and want to place a chair for them at the table, by all means do so. In our family, my daughter's Nana, I adopted my daughter, but no, her Nana passed. She sent us to her favorite restaurant, and I had to leave her a chair and a margarita. So if your loved one has a favorite drink or a favorite food, it's okay to place it there as well in remembrance of their presence. And tell stories. I think most people tell me that if they had their wish, they would pass peacefully in their sleep, surrounded by people they love. Frequently, I'm honored to say that I get to companion families whose loved one got their wish. They were surrounded by people they loved, even a few. And even in these crazy times, there's usually at least one caregiver loved one with them, and they pass peacefully. Sometimes we have some lovely people who've been fighters in life, and they like to fight till the end. But I like to say that's a peaceful end for them, because that is congruent and authentic to who they are. And there is dignity in that. So thank you for companioning your loved ones in any way you could in these crazy times to help them cross to where we can't see them anymore, but we know they're with us. I wanted to share today that in my studies, and as Jim mentioned, this isn't specific to any particular faith tradition, but I was delighted to learn that in most religious traditions, there is some semblance of an angel. So I like to think of all of our loved ones as angels among us today. And when you see the music again, I noted that they have this gorgeous angel in the background that looks like playing with you all, who you also sound like angels too, so thank you. But I like to think of my loved ones up there By the way, my grandfather would be singing along out of tune, but he'd be there. So, as we progress to the next moment, I give you these words in honor of our angels among us today. It's called Just a Memory Away. I'm no longer by your side, but there's no need to weep. I've left sweet recollections I'm hoping you will keep. Eternal joy and memories stay in our hearts forever, strengthening our special bond that parting cannot sever. Now, in times of loneliness, they bring sorrow and dismay. Don't despair, for I am there, just a memory away. May your memories, your artifacts, your treasures bring you comfort this holiday season. And always know that we're just a phone call away if you need help. Thank you.
Our litany from the Gates of Prayer is found on the back of your worship bulletin. It may be on your computer as well. I'd like to invite you to read along with me. I will read the first line, and please read the second line out loud. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of the summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them.
I count it an honor to share in this moment. And I count it an honor to have been a small part of some of your journey, you and your loved ones, as you care for each other through special times and moments. My name is Tom Davis. I'm one of the chaplains, one of the spiritual care team here in San Diego with Kaiser Hospice and Home Care. And thank you to the host sanctuary here. Thank you to Jim for inviting us to take part in this special service. This is an interesting time. It is isolating, but I believe it is pregnant with possibility. I do count it as a privilege to address you through this virtual means and this distance connection. I begin with a verse from the Bible, from the Scriptures, one which my wife informs me is quite obscure, but I wanted to use it, so let's dive in. It reads, "The farmer waits for the precious crop from the earth, being patient with it until it receives the early and the late rains. You also must be patient. Strengthen your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is near." My paternal grandfather was a farmer, and I lived for decades with parishioners and neighbors who are farmers. Their work is not a job. Their work is life. It is a calling. No typical 9 to 5 for them. Very truly, they realize they are stewards and caretakers of the earth and the environment they often inherit. They love Mother Earth, and they know how to endure waiting and hardship. Farmers also know that their life is not passive. Their work is not just standing back, but it is preparation in hope. The earth and this time are full of potential when we engage in active preparation. Someone coined the term grief work, and this seems apropos for our current reality. Good farmers are very busy with their daily tasks, their ongoing stewardship of the earth and its creatures. I admit mine is a sketchy and incomplete picture, but I gather that farmers are multi-talented. They are multitaskers whose routine changes with the season and who master engineering in numerous systems, from finance to water management, diesel mechanic to veterinarian technician. We too can learn new ways, new modalities for personal growth and development. And certainly this time of pandemic is a moment to learn new things, to experience new ways of being. When I moved to California some 10 years ago, I had to adjust my mindset to an entirely new climate. This coastal desert has a very different pattern than that of the moist, cool, verdant climate in upstate New York. And farming is very different too. Each of our journeys is uniquely our own. Our life's path has brought us to this place, wherever it is, for this moment. And the work of our life is more specific than our DNA and our fingerprints. It seems to me this season of our national collective grief is also a season of waiting. It is a season of losses and a season of hope. As we honor our loved ones, I want to encourage lives of engagement and possibility. We may be in varied seasons of personal development, but we are all poised for growth and personal transformation. Growth and stewardship may be hidden, but the process will certainly lead to harvest. We can be proactive and hope-filled. And in this process, through the waiting, we certainly are changed. We are growing and transforming. A sound principle, though a difficult process for impatient people like me, is that of patience and waiting. Waiting is hard. Dry seasons are exhausting. We await the early and the late rains, the early and the late rains, which certainly will come, but we wait for them. Secondly, James's author said, "Strengthen your hearts." I gather hearts are strengthened through hard work and vital nourishment. Thirdly, I would counsel hope. Seeds planted in seasons past may be ready to sprout life in this unique time, in this moment. Someone has said that certain trees' seeds require cataclysmic fire to ready them for new life. What furnace, what fire, what season has brought you and me to this time? What adversity allows us to have potential for life and growth and hope? Finally, this is a time to reaffirm our relationships and social connections. Despite the pandemic, we can engage in creative means of building community and family. It is probably more important now than ever. And yes, it may be more difficult. All the more valuable the outcomes of our efforts. Give it small and simple tries. Letters still work. Phone calls too. Maybe we can knock on a door allowing 6 feet distance and wearing a mask while practicing the simple art of conversation. Even as you are using, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, a new social media, and maybe you've tried a Zoom meeting. These are relatively new and innovative ways, and now we know important ways of building friendships through technology. We certainly will come through this pandemic. We will grow through and despite this adversity. May our personal and collective losses bring us into seasons of new growth and harvest. We are not alone. Hope will blossom with beauty as we strengthen our hearts. God bless you today and always.
Good afternoon. My name's Allegra Rich, and I'm the medical director for our San Diego Kaiser Permanente Hospice. And I'm here today with my partner, Dr. Kamlina. And we're representing our medical group. And as a group, we just wanted to say what an honor it has been to care for your friends and loved ones this year. We wish you peace through this holiday season and into 2021. Today we're going to be reading the names of those who are remembered today. Myself and Dr. Kamlina will be alternating, and we'll have candles lit as well. We'll start. Paul Dunn.
Lemon S. Freeman, Sr.
Sherry Felsenfeld.
Sandra D. Myers.
Rennie Carl Hassey.
Julie and Truett.
Kathleen Harding,
Steve Hart,
John Joseph Fox,
Bishop Howard Mitchell Smith,
Patricia Ann Clemens,
Bruce Wilson,
Lawrence David Resnick,
Thomas Heredia,
Joseph Parsons,
Gary Studlin,
Michael L. Jackson,
Kurt Plattner,
Edward Maslin,
Chester Howard,
Andrea,
Melvin,
Tina D. Fieri,
Isabel Cosio,
Humberto Ignaga,
John Lindemann,
Aaron Ellison,
Alice Ellen Cook,
Lee Haugen,
Jeffel Mary Davis,
Raleigh Saunders,
Evangeline Meneses,
Dennis James Kelsey,
Kevin Charles Wilson,
Nancy Schutman,
Ryan Robertson,
Sarah Keller,
Morris Lee Hogan,
Vern Neff,
Carol Layton,
Jennifer Slater,
Heidi Harker,
Sterling Grant,
John Daly,
R. Joseph DeAngelo,
Holger Chin,
Jim Bogus,
Maria Luisa Andrade,
Vincent John Crick,
Avelina Guzman,
Marianne O'Sullivan,
Dale Hyder,
Elfriede White,
Pabla Bernal,
Julie Ann Truitt,
Judith Anfinson,
Robert Fung,
Harry Huntsman,
Jean Lyle,
Richard R. Hardy,
Gordon M. Cummings,
Roger L. Duncan Jr.,
Carolyn Capella Arquette,
Edward Cabot Hall,
Sally Ray,
Margaret Panic,
Alan Bailey,
Marian Grant,
Vincenzo Romano,
Lula Day,
Mamie Ensign Gonzalez,
Roy Amos,
Dr. S. Ramanathan,
Bernice May Smith.
We'll pause here and resume in a few moments.
Hi, my name is Kim Heredia, and I was asked here today to share a little bit of my journey as it relates to my husband, Tomas. My husband passed in September of 2017, and sometimes that feels like a month ago, and sometimes it feels like decades. We were together just shy of 40 years, which was about 2/3 of my life. In some ways, I don't know how I have survived without him, and in other ways, it leaves room for thriving. Today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about what is possible as I see it after a loved one has passed. Because of those who have left this earth, our lives have changed in such a great way. Tomas was the greatest man I've ever known, and I'm so blessed to have been with him all of those years. I have so much to be grateful for. He was my anchor, my compass, and my confidant. He was my everything. He blessed me with 2 beautiful daughters, and we lived a really happy, wonderful marriage together. When he passed, I wasn't sure how to go on. I didn't know how to live without him, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever feel whole again. The emptiness in my heart, I wasn't sure if it would ever feel anything but empty. We were in the process of adopting our granddaughter, and at that time, the adoption was final in November, 2 months after the passing of my husband. So he didn't get to experience that wonderful day in person with us. I was scared, I was hurt, I was angry, I was alone. Even though I have the incredible opportunity to give the gift of life's experiences and share more love than I know what to do with my granddaughter, I still feel alone when certain things happen. Or I would see something that my husband and I would love to share with each other because he's still so much a part of me. However, I'm no longer scared, hurt, or angry. It's taken a while to get there. When my Tomas passed, I felt as if I was desperate for even just a glimpse of the reality I once knew. But one of the things that he said to me just before he passed was, "I want you to be happy. I want you to find happiness." So I told him I would. As I allowed myself to sit in my sadness, to shed as many tears as I felt like, whenever I felt like it, I also allowed myself to peek through the gray clouds and find the sunshine within my own life. I hoped that I'd begin to see some beauty and peace in this very unfamiliar place that I now lived in. I started putting one foot in front of the other. I started finding things that would make me smile, things that would make me feel good, and actually things that would make me laugh. My anxiety and panic attacks lessened. My fears subsided. Joy grew within me, but as I experienced joy, I also experienced guilt. Should I feel joy? Should I feel happiness? Should I feel anything but sadness, since I was grieving the loss of my husband? I needed to be gracious with myself and allow good feelings to surface. I still have moments of sadness. I still struggle with all the special days of the year: Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, anniversaries, Easter. Valentine's Day is one that really hits me because every year, for nearly 40 years, my husband would buy me roses at Valentine's Day. But he would hide them. He'd get them the day before or the morning of, and he'd hide them, in the garage or the closet or the kitchen, places I'd never go. And, of course, I always found them and before he gave them to me, and I never wanted him to know that. So he'd still surprise me with those roses. Well, the February after he passed, the first one, it was so sad to me because there would be no surprise roses. The doorbell rang that day, and the delivery person handed me 24 roses with a card. And I thought, I don't know about this. The card read, "Mama, even though Daddy isn't here to hide those roses that you never found, that doesn't mean that you necessarily can't receive them every Valentine's Day. I have a great family. I do allow laughter in my life. Joy does often fill my heart, and I surround myself with people who understand the depth of my experience. For those who don't, it's okay. I react lightly and I move on. The single thing that has helped me through the healing process that I'm going through is gratitude. Every single day, I find many reasons to say thank you. I talk out loud to my husband all the time. I thank him for every moment of our life together. I thank him, I tell him how much I love him and how much I miss him. And yes, I even thank him for the toughest moments, because they were the lessons that he taught me along the way. My daughter recently gave me a cup that it had a beautiful hummingbird on it. And on the front with the hummingbird, it read, "My mind still talks to you. My heart still looks for you, but my soul knows you are at peace." It was the greatest gift, no truer words. Our marriage wasn't perfect. My husband wasn't perfect. I mean, I was, but, he... But the reason I mention this is because sometimes if you think about the passing of someone you've loved, you often think that everything was so great and everything was just so perfect. And I like to bring up the things that weren't so great sometimes and weren't so perfect, because now I can actually talk about them and work through them and figure out what happened and sometimes laugh. My husband was the #1 worst backseat driver in the world. You never want to do, he only did that with me, so I was going to say you never want to get in a car with him, but he only did that with me. And I wouldn't be out of the driveway 3 feet, and he'd be telling me what lane I needed to drive in, where I needed to park when we got where we were going, which car I needed to let pass me on the freeway or me pass them because of the way they were driving. So, it gave me the opportunity, when he told me not to let that car do what it was doing and just actually, just go on, let it go on, it gave me the great opportunity to punch it. I was just like, okay, I can do this. I can punch this now, and it doesn't matter what my husband says. He's just a backseat driver. And we would get into our biggest arguments in the car driving. And the reason he never drove was because I didn't really like having the car in front of us be able to see the whites of our eyes. So being sure I drove everywhere we went. So the reason I bring this up is that it wasn't perfect. Life isn't perfect. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but boy, I miss it. I miss him, and I miss every moment. I'm sure you've heard that gratitude can transform your life. Well, it does. It works. When you're ready to experience it, feel it, it does work. Sometimes it takes us a while to embrace gratitude. We're so busy resisting this new life that we don't always see what we have to be grateful for. Below are words that I'm going to read to you and tell you about, that some have been given to me through emails, some have been given to me through friends who've texted me, or something I've read or I've heard. And regarding this new life, this change, I say, trust. Try to release your grasp on the old and what used to be familiar. Do this in order to begin new. Remember that anything is possible. Become more aware. Our new awareness can be invigorating. It can reignite our sense of purpose and remind us of our commitment to wholeheartedness. Also, know that we cannot see the gift in what we resist. We cannot see the gift in what we resist. So there's really no need to fear this new life. It's just different. When you're able, choose to live joyfully in your abundance. We all have an incredible amount of abundance in our lives. This short quote was written by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and John Kessler, and it made such a profound impact in helping me understand what I was experiencing. The reality is that you will grieve forever. You will not get over the loss of a loved one. You will learn to live with it. You will heal, and you will rebuild yourself around the loss that you have suffered. You will be whole again, but you will never be the same, nor should you be the same, nor would you want to be the same. What you had with your loved one who has passed is unique and special. So now you start new ways of doing the things that you used to do with that person. Hold on to that special relationship as it was. A dear friend sent this to me. The weight of loss never goes away. We just learn to carry it. And lastly, I love this one. Grief never ends, but it changes. It's a passage, not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness, nor a lack of faith. It is the price of love. From my heart to yours, anything and everything is possible, and it does get better. Thank you.
Georgia Costello.
John A. Rawlings,
Kitty Nard.
Gene E. Hicks, Jr.,
Jose Villegas.
Elias Zabala, Jr.,
Michael Forrester.
Leon Ortega,
Barbara Clayton.
Edmundas Borkavičius,
Dana Wynn.
Kimberly Jody Welby,
Franklin Fick.
Manuel J. Garcia,
Warren Davis.
Alan K. Flatten,
Peter Jablonski.
Janice McCall,
Elsa Garcia Pandavinas.
Charles Shotwell,
Sigrid.
Norm Kite,
Hillary Munslow.
Harold Ernst Coffey,
Stephanie Lynn Roddy.
Donald Copeland,
Mike Venema.
Mauer Magallanes,
Sylvia Cano.
Michael Aleri,
Manuel Garcia.
Margaret Nash,
Claricia Bell Tubin.
Steve Gerson,
Shirley Soames.
Dorothy Thibault,
James O'Neill.
Terry Lofthouse,
Bill and Mona Lisa Teaglau.
Jacqueline Johnson,
Donald L. Good.
Philomena Good,
Michael Geraci.
John O'Toole,
Carol Swan. Enrique Magallanes. And that completes the reading of our names. Thank you.
I want to express my appreciation. My name is Jaime Romo. I'm just pleased to be a part of this caring team. It's been an honor to join with your care for your loved ones. And I'll be brief in what I say, and I'd like to share a song I wrote many years ago for someone I deeply cared for, someone who's a mentor for me. And I'll be brief because years ago when I did my internship in a hospital setting, I used to lead some groups and sing a song and engage in some reflection. And one patient looked up at me and said, talk less, sing more. So the background to this song is a dear friend of mine, John Willis, who I met many years ago. He was a high-powered lawyer for many years and then had a stroke. And I met him years after that, and it was difficult for him to even speak and to move. He was still half paralyzed. But he shared the experience of having the stroke and then leaving his body and going to what he described as heaven and being completely connected to love and life. And then he saw his grieving wife and said, I need to go back. And so he came back into his body that was paralyzed, and he worked for years just to be able to tell what happened. But he was so filled with this amazing love and life because he said he knew that in his experience, and he would see me and anybody, and he would point, and he would say, I love you for always. And when he said that, I felt it as more than just his individual love, but that he was channeling love and life way beyond this experience of life. So this song is called Always. And I wrote it in part with him in mind and in part the time for my fiancée, who's now my spouse. I hope it reminds you of that ever-present love, and whether it's you singing to your loved one or them to you, or your sense of God or a higher power somehow speaking to you. Always, I love you always. I'm with you every moment of the day. Always, I love you always. I want you to live in me today. So much sorrow, so much woe, seems so slow to go away. You try so hard to heal your soul. Come to me and hear me say, always, I love you always. I'm with you every moment of the day. Always, I love you always. I want you to live in me today. Face the world out on your own. Lost your way, feeling all alone. Pick you up whenever you fall. Wait for you to come back home. Always, I love you always. I'm with you every moment of the day. Always, I love you always. I want you to live in day to live in me always.
For all of us at Kaiser, we are so grateful that you've chosen to spend this afternoon with us today. We hope this service has brought you some sense of peace and comfort today. And I want to leave you with these words of benediction. Life is short, and we do not have too much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel the way with us. So be swift to love and make haste to be kind. And the blessings of God, the source of hope and peace and love, be among you now and remain with you always. Amen.